Hello friends and welcome back. I'm incredibly excited to bring you today's video as I have a very special guest on today's episode of the podcast. Waydot is a Golden Gnome winner and former RuneScape 3 content creator, but he has since moved on to the general MMO review field and has put out some absolute bangers, reaching almost 1 million views on some of his videos. Even before he left, Waydots was an incredibly successful RuneScape 3 creator and even won a Golden Gnome. I'm so excited to bring you today's video and I genuinely hope you enjoy it. You know, I feel like sometimes, bro, people feel if you have like one spicy take that you hate something completely. And I don't know. It's sometimes a lot. Like you can be kind and appreciate something for a long time, and then that one time they just act like you're the bad guy.
I don't think that spicy takes are inherently super negative either. I think that it requires a certain level of knowledge and passion about something to actually get to the point where you can have a legitimately spicy take. So, like, for me, I've had a lot of what people consider spicy takes when it comes to RuneScape, but they actually mostly come from a place of passion and wanting to actually see the game succeed, or at least used to when it was my main content. So,
yeah, I mean, winning a Golden Gnome's not easy. For those who are just tuning in or who might see this on YouTube later, we do have a Golden Gnome winner here. And,
thank you.
You know, unfortunately, like, when you start making content as well, you kind of have a different perspective, you know, because it isn't just, well, I logged in for, you know, an hour and I haven't spent time editing and doing all these other things that, you know, take a lot of time. Like, it's not easy to make a YouTube video. And then some of the stuff that we've talked about on the side is like thumbnails. You know, there's a lot that goes into it, you know, and it is, you have to be passionate. If you're not passionate, you're not going to be able to like take the time to put the effort in. Yo, thank you for the sub, my friend.
Absolutely. Yeah, thumbnails are like my favorite part of YouTube. I'm not even kidding. I love making thumbnails. I don't know why. It's my favorite part of the process.
Bro, when Blind Guy was making YouTube videos, I was immediately like, bro's got that thumbnail game on lock.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Every day he was like, hey, can you make me a thumbnail? I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Nah, he had it on lock. I miss his stuff. He's a good dude.
For those who don't know, that's my dad.
Okay, I didn't want to put you on the spot just in case.
No, you can,
okay,
yeah,
cool, yeah. Did you know that I didn't know he was your dad for like months?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had no idea, bro.
Yeah, we got a video together on the official RuneScape channel of him
awesome.
trying necromancy. Yeah, everybody like.
Well, I saw that.
But...
I actually saw that. I just didn't
yeah.
I didn't put two and two together. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was a horrible video. So I went down to Texas where my parents live to record that, or at least I was in Texas when they needed me to record that video. And like I brought my equipment and stuff, but we just couldn't get the room and the audio and everything to look or sound right. So it was horrible, but. You know, they still liked it, I guess. So
I remember seeing that video and I was like, this is smart marketing on their part, because it's like, you know, two of the demographics I think that they don't necessarily cater to are like his age and like lifestyle, you know, like that his demographic I don't feel like would be interested in at first glance.
Well, there's quite a few people of that age that play RuneScape, surprisingly, but yeah, they definitely don't cater to them.
Yeah, like as far as when you go see like an ad, something I've kind of had spicy takes on lately is like the advertising looks like Roblox ads a lot of times. And what inspired me to even like make cringe lore stuff is because I'm like, wait, there's an ambassador and like all these crazy cool like death gods like in Magic and other stories that I like, and they don't even talk about them. Or like Zeros is cool, Dungeoneering's cool, like so many.
This
cool
has been
stories.
A problem across most like MMOs, I would say, for the past 5 to 10 years. It's this like cutification of everything. Everything has to be cute. Everything has to look super friendly. Like I'm sorry to be harsh, but blood and gore.
Yeah.
I want badass, intense like fights and all that stuff. So yeah, when I don't see any of that, I think and that was part of, if you look at the marketing for like a lot of the treasure hunter stuff, it's all like super cute.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing? Like that's not your demographic. It's not like 13-year-olds. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yes. No, I completely agree. Like I've not, you know, the only treasure hunter that I've really seen like that they kind of tapped into that is one they did on like Dungeoneering, and but it annoyed people because of the fact it's like, wait, Dungeoneering hasn't really received an update in a long time, even though we got like the
Yeah,
dig site and
the
stuff.
most recent skill doesn't even work with it.
Yeah, and it's like, it being in the treasure hunter, I was like kind of excited. Are they going to make a story of it? But this was like 6 months ago, and then just now they're actually redoing that promotion. So I'm like, okay,
Gotcha.
must have got them plenty of keys, which
Yeah.
that's maybe a good place to kind of like segue into.
Mhm.
I really wanted to ask you like your origins in RuneScape. Like, clearly you don't spend time thinking about it and making videos on it unless you have an intense love for it. So maybe you could take me back to like some of your first memories playing RuneScape, and then maybe segue into your content creation.
Yeah, sure. My first memories playing RuneScape. So I had just moved to South Dakota, and my neighbor was another kid that was my age. And within like the first day we moved there, we had already like met up and we were kind of getting along. But anyway, he said, "Hey, do you want to come in my house? I got this awesome computer game to show you." So I go inside and it's RuneScape, and I'm like, damn. At this point, I've already played like World of Warcraft a bit with my dad, so I kind of knew what an MMO was. But RuneScape just captivated me because I have another person my age that plays it. So I immediately went home, started playing. I remember I got like a bronze helm, like a bronze medium helm from killing goblins. And I showed my friend the next day, and he was like, "Dude, that's crazy. That's one of the best helmets in the game." Obviously, he knew it wasn't, but
Yeah.
it kind of tricked me into thinking I was super badass, which was awesome. But from that point, I just played RuneScape for years. I'd play for 6 months, then take 6 months off, and play another 8 months, and kind of just on and off.
Don't you think it's important to have those early game memories? Because something that stood out to me about what you said is something that can't happen anymore because they removed a lot of weapon and armor for salvage drops.
Yeah,
And it's just like one example of like the adventure being killed a little bit because it, like you were saying, it makes you happy to get that drop, whether or not it is the best item in the game. Like you getting something tangible in this world, and you're like, okay, I went from no helmet to having a helmet. But yeah,
I think the salvage drops was, I don't know. I don't know if I have too strong of an opinion about them. People play games a little bit differently these days. But there was something always cool. Like even still, you can do this in old school RuneScape where you just save up all your Slayer drops, and you have like all this rune armor and all this dragon armor in your bank, and it looks super cool. But besides that, I don't know if salvage is actually a huge issue in 2025, but
it's good for
I get where you're
Alks.
coming from.
It's good for Alks. I'm not like, I don't have an issue with salvage. I have more of an issue with like not also having the weapon drops available. Example is like a fire giant on old school. A lot of people do like waterfall quests and other things because obviously most of this applies to OSRS as well, which I love. But it's like you go and you fire strike the fire giants till you get a rune scimitar. Or whatever, range it. But it's like that's an important drop. Now it's like a rune salvage. So not that I personally think salvage itself is bad. It just kind of sucks not getting those low level items.
Well, I think they just switched it out for other things where in old school RuneScape, getting a rune scimitar, obviously it's still early game, but it could be considered more of a mid game thing. Whereas maybe in RuneScape 3, that's kind of been replaced with like, I don't know, like what's that item you get from May? The like weapon. It's like T70 or something.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
been a
yeah,
while,
yeah. The quest
that's kind of like
stuff.
a mid game, maybe equivalent. I don't know.
That's true. I think that's fair.
They still have those items. I think they're just acquired in different ways.
Yeah, free to play is kind of interesting because like a lot of the stuff in it doesn't work per se. And I think OSRS, to be honest, like I think everybody out there's done like Vanquish. That's it.
Vanquish. That's the one.
Everybody's done like a full free to play playthrough because it has like an end game, which is like Dragon Slayer.
Yeah.
And now it just doesn't, like, you don't even actually have to do Dragon Slayer to wear a rune plate body. It's kind of just a thing you can do. And I mean, doing that for the first time. Free to play in
old school, I don't know if it still is. I haven't played free to play since I was like 13, but it was iconic, right? Like that was, there was a point where I think there were more people online in free to play worlds than members.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's of course that's the part of the game that most people know and remember and cherish. And yeah, it's because they had a whole game you could play inside. It was like a demo within a game. It was super cool.
Yeah, any other game that I've done like a trial of, it's certainly been different. So like,
well, they're trying to sell you the game so much more, right? Like if you do the trial in World of Warcraft, I think you can get to like level 20. It's like you can get to level 20 in like 8 minutes. if you're efficient. So
I am making a pledge this year at some point to at least give WoW a solid shot because it just looks too much fun. Like,
yeah, dude, if you play WoW Classic, let me know. I'll hop on and help you out.
I think that's the one I want to play because I mean that would have been the era that
It's
like
the better
RuneScape
version,
was good
in my opinion. But
I don't like all the cutesification, kind of like you were talking about. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if there's mounts and stuff, but some of the stuff I've seen like later on, the screen is just so polluted. But I have no room to talk because I play RS3. Screen pollution's insane, bro. It's insane.
The amount of buttons you have on your screen in RuneScape 3 is nuts.
Yes. But yeah, like what inspired you to make content? Like when did you hit that record button first? Take me through that.
It's a bit of a longer story. I have to go back actually.
Sure.
When I was like 14 or 15, I ran and operated a YouTube channel for a Call of Duty sniping clan.
Okay.
And I would edit all the videos and record all the shots and everything like that. Because I was the only one in the clan that had a hopage, it was called, which was used to record Xbox 360. So I was making content. We got like 500 subs, like way back in the day. And that was like one of the most fun things I ever did. So later in life, I was working at a casino. And
oh, cool.
I just decided I was making pretty decent money there. So I was like, I'm just going to save up and get a computer with the sole purpose of creating content, even if it never like blew up or did well. It was just something I wanted to get back into. So saved up, got myself a decent computer, and I started making old school videos. I made about 10 of them. And they did okay. I was getting like 300 views per video. But then I just did the OSRS player tries RS3, which obviously is super saturated. Tons of people have done that, but I was like, oh, this is such an original idea. But back then I didn't like research or see if somebody else had done it. And then that first episode just took off. And ever since then, once you get a little bit of not popularity, that's the wrong
traction.
Once you kind of get the high of getting views on YouTube, you are constantly chasing it. So that's what I'm still doing to this day.
I think that's commendable of how like honest you are on that. I feel like people all the time are just like, it don't matter. And I mean, some things I put out and I agree, but it's like, if you take a lot of time to make something, you want it to have justice, because like, dude,
if you're making, there's the difference. If you're making content that you don't like to make, specifically to get views, then I think, okay, that's kind of lame. But if you're making content that you love making, then I don't think it's even bad to say that you want a ton of views. Of course you do.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
And you think it's cool enough to take your time to do it. So it's just kind of like, validation of that art. But it's like, there is certainly an art to like thumbnails and other things. And some people, they just got it, dude. So it's like, that's awesome.
Well, you got to understand, I've been watching RuneScape YouTube as well for like another 13 years on top of that. Like,
okay.
I've been watching RuneScape YouTube forever, and not just RuneScape, all YouTube. So even just going into YouTube, I had a bit of like an understanding of what works and what doesn't work. Right?
So that watching turned into research.
So, yeah, essentially, right? It was like study. It's like I spent 13 years studying how to make the content that I like making. So
that's a black belt in RuneScape YouTube. So because it usually takes 10 years to get a black belt. So
almost all of it is old school RuneScape YouTube. Just so we're clear.
No, I mean actually, I didn't even think about asking like these questions beforehand, but that's a good. Yeah. That's actually a really good like point, because I don't think RS3 YouTube is bad at all, but what it does is that it just gets so far fewer traction, and it's so much harder to get people to like watch an RS3 video. It will disincentivize people from being unique, because you got to think, if Settle didn't do a bunch of views on his series, who knows if we would have got Swampletics,
Yeah.
And it could have been just as cool, just as good.
Here's my thing on that. Anytime you go on the RuneScape 3 subreddit and people are talking about content creators, they're going to say, yeah, RuneScape 3 creators just suck. They're not creative and all this. No, that's just like so not true. The problem is that in old school RuneScape, you can make enough money, even at a moderately smaller, at the lower end of popular old school RuneScape streamers and YouTubers, they're still making enough money to live off of. In RuneScape 3, that's not necessarily possible. And so once you make enough money to actually live off of something, that allows you to go full-time with effort, with creative thinking, with money that you reinvest back into it. it just, there's so much more freedom being an old school RuneScape creator because you don't have a ceiling on your views, and because of that, you're allowed to invest so much more of your time and effort into it. And
Yeah.
on top of that, there is the argument that old school is just it's just a better game for content, and I kind of agree with that.
Hey, thanks for the follow, Zephyr. Welcome in. That's a good point. You know, it's like you see a lot of these videos, especially the big guys. They'll have like a super badass like Blender intro, and you know they'll have like a professional.
Yeah, and those are
artist.
thousands of dollars, by the way. Those animations.
I mean, I would say because really we've got one or two people consistently doing it. Like, to be honest, I gotta give a shout out to this guy because I mean, obviously, he's grown a lot. Like Iron Araxor's videos.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Phenomenal.
The effort he puts into those like is insane, and the time it takes to get that good, because I can barely work my editing equipment. For him to go in and design these things and make them for his videos is incredible.
Dude, so I learned how to like use Blender for thumbnails for still images, but the animation side of things, that's crazy. I think he deserves a golden gnome. Yeah, personally.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely badass. I think he's doing a Gillenor Games too, so that's great.
Yeah, I've seen that. That looks like it's going to be pretty interesting.
That guy deserves the bag. I think he deserves it. I think that it's hard because there are people out there like, and I won't name them, but it's like I'll watch their video and they're really good and I'll support them. But unfortunately, and I don't even know what it is. It seems like their thumbnail's good, other stuff, but it just, where it's RS3, it just doesn't get a lot of traction. It kind of makes me, more sad.
Yeah, it's a tough niche. I mean, I think earlier, or you had a tweet where you were like, "Oh, now Waydot gets more views than all of RuneScape," which is not true, by the way. But
I think I meant that one video. I think I meant your 11-hour compilation. I meant in a time that gets more views than our whole category in a month. Right. I mean, it really does. Like that
video did really well. Yeah. But what I was getting at is that even though now
don't be humble, bro. You're badass. No, I'm just playing. I'm messing with you. Appreciate it. Dude, you're doing really good.
Now that I'm in the MMO niche, it's funny because if you take a look at wider gaming on YouTube, the MMO niche is considered one of the smallest gaming niches. Yeah. So then what happens when you take that even deeper and you go into the less popular version of one of these MMOs? You're in a niche within a niche that's within a niche, and the main niche is already small. So that's kind of it's honestly part of the motivation I had to eventually take the leap and try something new, right?
Yeah. Well, not to glaze you, like I actually really like to be upfront and like give people credit where it's due. I like the fact that you'll go and play an MMO that is a niche. Yeah. And get hundreds of thousands of people to watch it. So
I appreciate that
because but that's what I mean is like that takes a real like amount of knowledge because it's not obviously the MMO kind of sucks, or an MMO can suck. And if you can spin it to where, it's a documentary on something, because I feel like that's how it ends up being. Yeah. That's good. And anyway, I guess RuneScape has enough depth to it that people could tap into it. But you're right. The problem is just like the investment, and it's a huge IP. Like Chatter mentioned, that Penguin Zoe talks about OSRS all the time. He's
got like a maxed account.
Yeah, and 16 million subscribers on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
man.
Dude, I've been watching Charlie since way back in the day. He used to do this series called it's kind of inspired some of my videos, to be honest, but he used to find these super obscure games and he would just play them and like do commentary over them. So I remember he'd be like, "What's up guys, it's Critical here with Japanese baseball backyard number 19." And like just this game that like you've never heard of, you've never seen, and he would just completely rip it apart and play it, and it was hilarious.
I think you're onto something when it's like it's a kind of a backtrack, but not really. It ties into this. Is like when you study these people and see them and like learn how to create content, like it really is something that gives you a different take on the game over time. And one of the contentious points we had was like, RuneScape is good, but defending like the shitty parts of it is not how you're going to get it to grow. And when you do go, and one thing I started doing is what you were talking about, you did 13 years doing. I never used to watch any of these guys. Like the first Penguin Zoe video I watched was probably like September of last year. So I didn't understand, and I think that's like, I don't know. Seeing what gaming in a whole or as a whole is doing is important.
Yeah.
And shitting on it, which I feel like is being done right now, is stupid. Like, these people aren't coming to criticize RuneScape because they did something right, you know? And like, I don't know. It makes me sad. We were talking about creators and stuff. We just had, in the exact same day, I saw 3 creators who were like my personal friends make farewell videos.
Yeah, I saw 2 of the videos, because the one of them I used to be pretty good friends with. I interestingly enough helped him a lot with thumbnails in the early days. Crit
is amazing. Hey, thank you for the follow.
But yeah, I mean, the same thing happened with Hero Pass last year, though, right? That's when I left, and I mean, the other creators didn't really leave for good like I did. Most of them have come back, I think. Like, my crew kind of goes back and forth. I'm not really sure. I don't really follow it too much anymore, but I think that's where the sort of shitting on a game comes from, in terms of, at least from like me or somebody who's that close to the game. It's when it happens again and again and again, and you hear the same apology again and again and again. But I understand what you're saying. If someone comes from an outside perspective, they haven't given the game its like time of day, and then they shit on it. I don't like that either, right? That's what you get a lot of like old school players who've never actually touched RuneScape 3 shitting on the game. That's when it's kind of annoying. I completely agree with you there.
And I polluted myself with that. You know, it sucks, because then you start to think that people's incentive is not sincere, and that wasn't fair of me, you know. And I think doing my research, I think anyone should do their research, even if you don't like, you know, these people we're talking about. It's really important to keep up with gaming if you are passionate about RuneScape, because it is a game, and it can help, whether you know it or not. If you're, you know, real active in the community, giving feedback in various sources, having like an informed opinion, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, it is helpful. And
Bro, I completely agree. I mean, you take a look at the RuneScape subreddit, and I feel like half of the comments I read in there are from people who have only played RuneScape for the past like 10 years.
Yep.
And as someone who's recently, you know, I've probably tried, I want to say over 75 MMOs in the past year. Some of them make it to video, some don't, right? But I can't think of a single other game I've played that has as much negative sentiment towards their developers as is the case in RuneScape right now. So
I was the OSRS shitter guy, and like came to RS3, right? And I came back during like the Zamorak release. It was my very first RuneScape video, like a little bit after. And you know, I thought it was fun, and you know, Treasure Hunter at the time, it didn't bother me. I'd use my 2 daily keys and just leave. I didn't really like think too much of it. I'm like, this ain't that bad. You know, there's so much better in the game. And it's like, too, I kind of came in with an already maxed account, because I played, you know, in 2011 and was already, you know, maxed before I left. Had to do the skills and shit that came into the game since then, but along with lamps and stuff, lampiology is what I like to call archaeology. Which is a good skill. Like, going back and doing it for like unlocks, it's a good skill.
Bro, as an Iron Man, I'm sorry. And
hey, thank you, Legends.
I said this throughout my whole series. I hated archaeology. It's awesome in concept, in theory, all the new locations are cool, but actually training it, oh my gosh. Kill me now.
What pissed me off about archaeology as a side tangent, bro, is like, as a lore guy, that's their best stories. And they were like, nope. You know what we're gonna do after you get done fighting the Elder Gods? Would you like to play Sims at the fort? Would you like to do that? And it's, how about this? What if we write out our best characters? What if we send Nex, Azanadra, and Zeros all to Erebus? That'll be good, won't it? Or Fernesque, you know? And it's like...
what was your initial opinion of the fort? Because I remember...
I hated it.
Did you?
Yeah.
From the start?
Until Ancient Awakening, I hated it. It was just, I didn't have enough traction that anybody gave a shit. You weren't seeing my stuff on it. Nobody was seeing my stuff on it. Like, that was like really when I first started making videos. My first stream was like the Necromancy release on Twitch.
What? I thought you were streaming way before that.
I was doing YouTube, and I just I hadn't streamed, man. I'm relatively, I mean, now it's not new, time has flown by, but yeah. Necromancy was like my first real stream. I might have done a test one, you know, or something, but yeah. Really kind of what happened was, you know, that happened, and like I was probably still around like 200 subs on YouTube, like, and just kind of kept, going. But the thing that kept me in the game was like how cool it was, and it never got presented, and that was the whole incentive behind it. And Mod Jack, the reason that I ever even started talking to him was because I was shitting on For Entry. I was like, this is ridiculous. And even though Hero Pass was coming out, I was like, I even said then, I was like, I'm defending you guys here, and we're going through and having these very shallow stories that forget to talk about the greater arcs that interest me, and I know it's selfish. But anyway, he saw me saying this, and somebody said, oh, well, it's Mod Jack's fault. And I just said something in pseudo-agreeance, and Mod Jack replied to me, and that was like really when I started talking to him. And it seemed like that feedback was taken into consideration, because things started to escalate quite a bit and not just be personal drama.
Yeah, Mod Jack is actually awesome. Just from what I remember, I met him, and I remember me and him sat down and talked about, because I went there for necromancy, right?
He's passionate for sure.
He's super passionate, and he knows about every game, not just in the genre but outside the genre. He knows about gaming. Obviously, there's been tons of people who agree or disagree with certain things he's done with the game, but if there's one thing I do know is Mod Jack is definitely passionate about gaming.
Dude, he was at an award show, and not to throw him under the bus, he said I could talk about it. Like, I talked to him a fair bit, like, on, just about random shit. He'll stream Mechscape too, and I'll come hang out and we'll talk about games. And he does. He keeps up with the industry. But it's like, when it comes to feedback to Twitter has been like something that's been super useful, I feel like. Just, and whether it be censorship or whatever it is, it used to be lit. Like, they used to always have fun talking to us, even if it was like contentious. Really only recently did it start to be
also
like
JMod Smackdowns were like totally a thing. Like, people would love when JMods would shit on other players sometimes too. Like, of course, let's have a bit of back and forth. And
well, because that was like before everybody started being too soft for a little criticism. That was kind of what Mod Jack did. He didn't shit on me back, but he was like, well, why do you think that? That doesn't seem very fair, and doesn't match up with something else.
There's probably a little bit of just company HR that goes into that. They probably had a few meetings. They might have hired a new, outside agency to come in and oversee all of their online presence. Like, who knows? These companies are huge companies. We're talking about $1 billion company with Jagex. So it's hard to say. But I mean, like, Mod Ash coming in and constantly talking to people on Twitter was like huge. That he would get millions of views on some of his tweets. Like,
now he's left.
Isn't on Twitter.
Yeah, makes me sad.
Is he on Blue Sky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's more, and again, this has been a contentious take, but it's like, I feel like you gain more from using a platform you might not like that much on other topics to just go and reply to your audience. I don't understand. I feel like the replies I've gotten, they've made it out like they're forced to sit on Twitter and scroll. That's not what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Follow players, comment back to replies on players if you want, or just like,
you should be on every platform that your players are available.
Yep.
You should be on Facebook, Instagram. Like, if you're $1 billion company, just make sure you're available in every online place where your players are available.
Yep. And it would be
as long as it's not breaking the law, it's not something illegal. Why would you purposely close off one of your lines of communication to your end user? That makes no sense. No other industry has ever done this.
Yeah.
Crazy.
The common retort to that type of sentiment that I've heard from them is the fact that, well, other platforms don't let their developers come and talk. And it's like, well, yeah, they do. They have their own personal accounts. I mean, we saw all like the Concord drama. And I mean, that's really big right now. Like that, there was an art director for The Witcher who was like saying crazy stuff about
I saw
gamers.
That, dude. I'm so worried about The Witcher. Like, The Witcher 3 is probably in my top 3 RPGs of all time. Please make sure The Witcher 4 is good.
Yeah.
Please.
I only watched, I'm going to be real, like you were kind of saying, and I haven't played a lot of MMO. Actually, I guess this is the only MMO I've played. I would play like console, and then pretty much once I started like MMA and shit, I kind of fell off with video games. I'd play OSRS here and there. Now, I mean, I used to play some like old bangers like Shadow of the Colossus and stuff, but completely
Nice.
different.
Yep.
Yeah, that game's amazing. I need to find an emulator for that. But it's, I guess, it's just they have it going for them, and they have that special sauce. They did.
Yeah.
And then telling me that they don't have to talk to me. It's just like, you just made a post about how you want our feedback. Like, what do you mean you don't want us to talk to you? I'm saying that I do want to talk to you. I'm saying players want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. And I can't make them talk to the community. Like, that's not what I'm even at. Actually, I want their personal freedom, but we can't pretend like it's going to be a good decision, right? Like, yeah, they do have the freedom. I have the freedom to go chop my leg off, but that's not a good decision. I just...
Well, so that leads into all the accusations of the echo chamber, right? Mm-hmm. When you start monitoring, the only places you can get feedback is through this company approved, HR stamped line of communication, heavily moderated Discord or Reddit. When that's the only way you can get your feedback, what happens to the real feedback that tons of other people are saying? You're just going to close your eyes and like hold your hands over your ears and pretend you're not hearing it. I'm not saying that's what they do. I'm not accusing them of that completely.
Then
I'm just saying that's the logical. Well, that's the logical end, right? Yeah. And now, okay, you cut off Twitter. How much longer until we cut off the Reddit? How much longer until we take down or take out everybody in the content creator Discord that doesn't agree with us, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is 100% like, and it's. I remember you guys during Hero Pass were saying slippery slope, and I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not a slippery slope. You're crazy. It's not.
Squeal of Fortune was a slippery slope, my guy. It's been
I have a video coming out on Mod Pips and his history with MTX, man, and it's insane. Like, I mean, again, and I know I'm gonna get the people like me who still haven't had enough, who are gonna be like, well, he's supposed to make money for the game. But one example of like why it's fucked. If Treasure Hunter came also with good content, I would shut up.
Yeah,
I really would. I mean, because like it itself doesn't bother me. But if it, like, for example, before the start of the year, the 90 days prior were 60 days of seasonals. Mm-hmm. Because you had a full.
And that's what I've been seeing. Like I still keep an eye on RuneScape, obviously. And it's like, okay, you guys got the 110s coming out and stuff, but everything, like mainly what I'm seeing is just seasonal, like holiday stuff.
Yeah. All the ads, the 110 woodcutting did not get like any I didn't see it at all till the day it came out. I forgot about it. The quest, the new quest that just dropped, we didn't see anything on it. When I brought it up in the Discord, well, we released a blog last month on it. Like, but it's Christmas.
Is it an end game quest, or can you do it pretty early?
It is so end game.
Okay.
It's the first.
See, that's probably the thing, though. Are you going to advertise end game content? Like 110 woodcutting, I guess, would be considered end game, right? So if they're trying to get new players, that maybe that's not something they'd want to advertise. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, no. And you're right, though. That is their reasoning behind it. But it's like, when it's falling flat and like not like a lot of people had criticisms of the 110 skills, and I'm not a skiller. I already have my max cape. I'm not going back and getting 120s of anything. And it was essentially like, it was like they basically kept just going. Like they didn't come back and kind of tweak things. A lot of people said a lot of it was dead on arrival. And as far as the advertising goes, I guess the reason it affects me so much and I'm so critical of it is because all the time I'm trying to get people to play. I'm trying to be like, dude, this game's cool. And then I see like the same ad of like them dancing in Santa's Village all month instead of the cool quest coming out next month. What I mean.
Well, first of all, that dancing in Santa's Village is equally as tone deaf as is advertising endgame content. If you were going to make an ad for RuneScape, show show the progression from a new character to like finishing Dragon Slayer or something like that. I think Old School RuneScape has a few ads like that, and those seem to work pretty well.
Well, thank you, ET, for the sub. That's much appreciated. I really appreciate everybody hanging out, by the way. Thank you for coming and chilling. Also, thank you, Waydots. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, man.
No, you're right. And it's like, we kind of talked a little bit about before we started the whole, like, and we touched on it again, the cutification. I want to see that shit. Like that with that, I guess quests, and I'm in a unique boat. Quests do make me excited. When I see a quest advertised, I'm like, hell yeah. Like I was waiting on that pretty much since Group Iron release. Like, I'm being real. And I'm being selfish, but I am going to just give my honest take. It felt like all we got was Santa all month. And the reason that I'm critical of it as well, this is the first of the Desert Series finale. A 23-year finale, bro. Finale. Right. And it just, they didn't even show it. A lot of the creators, like, you know, if also, too, they get free advertising by making it something that people are excited for. At least a little bit. A lot of the creators forgot.
Thing too is nowadays, if you make something that's good content, and you know the RS guy goes live when Zamorak came out, and he got 15,000 viewers or whatever, that's the best advertising you're actually ever gonna get.
Yeah.
But besides the point, I did want to ask something really quick. It's still the same topic. Do you remember? Because I think it was like last year they like skipped one of the holiday events, or they just redid the exact same one from the year prior. Mm-hmm. And then they got a bunch of backlash, right? Do you remember that?
Maybe, but I usually
like Halloween or something. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is it seems like they like wanted to correct that. So they wanted to make holiday events good again, make holiday events great again. But now they're still like, it's like they overcorrected so much. Like, we didn't want holiday events to become the entire update cycle.
Yep.
We just wanted them to be decent. Yes. Why was that so tough to understand?
Maybe that's why our criticism does seem like so toxic, is because they're like, we tried really hard, but it's like, that's not what we wanted. And to be honest, when they did the roadmap in the summer, and this is me, I know other people out there have disagreed with this because I've been talking about it since December.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they pitched it as, we're going to tone down seasonals and put more effort into content.
Right.
And it's like, it just feels like we're sacrificing. Also on the quest, I meant to also add, another reason it pissed me off, and I said that, was because of the fact it was a month late. It was supposed to come out at the end of the year and was on their roadmap for the end of the year. And to be honest, I might do a video on it later, if it just didn't have anything in it, man. Like, it didn't make any real story progression. Like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, and also I don't want to change anyone's opinion if they did like it. But I got done with it and I was like actually sad. And I don't want to do that, because it was like, if it was just that one thing, it wouldn't have bugged me as much. But like you said, I can only. Oh,
well, did you see the Josh Dreyfus recent video?
I loved that video.
Okay, so it came out 12 days ago and it has 1 million views.
Yep.
So guess what? That's going to be the most popular RuneScape 3 video probably that released this year. Mm-hmm. There might be something I'm missing. I don't know, but I'm assuming it's in the top 5. So anyway, he plays RuneScape 3 for 100 hours. It's a 3-hour-long video, and I would say about 75% of that video is him doing quests. So he's going through, and even though I'm not a big quest guy, I'm not a big lore guy. I love questing. I'm just not a big lore guy like you are, unfortunately. But I think, obviously, the developers have to see this. Okay, questing is one of our best selling points. You got to make sure they come out done well, on time. And when you're wrapping up a 23 years, that's older than some of your players. When you're wrapping up a legacy that's that long, it's got to be amazing. It should blow you out of the water.
Yeah. I'm thankful that you see it that way, even as a non-lore person. I think, too, the lore community is one of the most dedicated, being they're not really combat people or end-game combat. They like, God Wars 2 levels, usually what a lot of them like, and I think that's great. They're not doing end-game bossing, but they're competent in the game, and they are willing, and I was willing to put up with MTX and other stuff to get that good continuance, because, like you said, it's popular. People like quests. People do, because that's kind of what RuneScape is, right? It's an escape.
Yeah.
Escapism, and some people will sit and be like, well, you shouldn't need to escape from reality. Whatever. Go judge someone else, because
that's what all gaming is.
Exactly, bro. Like, it's... our electric went out the other day, and because of the storm, and it was like after 10 minutes my kids were like antsy because they can't go turn something on, and I'm like, wait, what did you all think I had to go through? I had 10 VHSs growing up. But no, man, Josh Dreyfus' video was really good. One thing I really liked was the fact that he didn't glaze over the MTX subject. He covered it, and he covered it harshly. He
went hard on Treasure Hunter. Absolutely, yeah.
Because he is.
Josh is friends with the developers. Like, when we went to the Necromancy meet, like, Josh already knew everybody there, in terms of the developers and stuff, because he doesn't live too far away from Jagex, I don't think. So You know, they invite him to, and he like plays Warhammer with some of them. He's a big Warhammer guy. So I was kind of worried that he would maybe ease up a bit in terms of treasure hunter and stuff, but no, I'd say it was a pretty fair and concise review. A lot of people thought that he went too light, but that's kind of what Josh does. He likes to find the silver lining in a lot of games. So
I like that about him. I mean, I do. You know, it wasn't just a shit fest at all. I really felt like it was a man who fell in love with that world, made a video on it, and he was sad that keeps other people from wanting to play it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, seasonals, that's something that, like, the seasonal got all the advertising, yeah, and then we went into the next month, and the quest was, it felt like a step back to Forentry, without me spoiling a lot of the...
Was it a lot of like, because I remember with Forentry, like, you start the quest by like clicking on the little symbol, and then you get an instance, and did they try a bunch of like new things like that, or?
I was more disappointed on like the actual story. Like, there was some like, there's like a little scarab puzzle, which I thought was cute, but it was cute.
Yeah.
I'm saving the world from this demon cat lady, like, and I, you know, found a god that's been hiding for thousands of years, and it was more the lore. There was no lore. Like, we just went through a season of like Sanctum and some other stuff. We kind of talked about, you know, the new boss, and all of those are tied to the desert, right? They're all generals of a mascot, and you know, they didn't play a part in the quest. I don't know if you did like the Sentistan, the Zeroshan City, the Elder God Wars quests, but okay, like, one of the cool things about it is seeing, you know, Hellware, Grigorovich, Kriara on the battlefield, reusing it. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
They didn't use any of the characters from the Sanctum, and they only
you have a ton of beloved characters in your game that people have been fighting and making lore with and talking about for decades, literally decades. You should definitely be using those recognizable and popular characters, especially if they tie into the story.
Yep. Well, and they're cool. It's like, you know, but it ended up pretty much just being like daddy-daughter drama. And, you know, as I'm a parent, and I get that, you know, I get the intention, but it's like, it's a desert finale, dude. I want to kill some shit, learn some big stuff, you know,
There's also something to be said for the beginner early game quests. They can be cute and funny and whatever, but when you're coming to the end of a storyline, something that took, you know, potentially hundreds and hundreds of hours to actually get to, because you need the skills to actually start the quest.
86 archaeology. You need 86
archaeology. So you're talking a big investment has went into this. You don't want it to be cute. You don't want some like drama. You want some hardcore shit.
Yep.
Because you've been doing hardcore shit to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not there on my group iron, and I've been playing 4 months, like neckbeard. So yeah, it made me sad. We drifted off, but it was a good tangent. What do you think about like making content on the game in this day and age? Do you feel like it's gonna be something that is gonna be possible with the negative connotation of MTX? That was something I want to touch on, because it's like, you know, this too. You can make a good video, right, and still do good on it, but you're still gonna get a bunch of comments. MTX bullshit. Ha, game dead. And they're not wrong to feel that way. It's like they're not doing anything to change the PR. Like, it doesn't feel content creator friendly.
Yeah. So there's two different ways to approach this, but if you just want to make content in the game, that's going to be possible as long as RuneScape exists. If you want to be successful making content on RuneScape, that's going to be exceptionally difficult with the way things are going because of that negative connotation. However, because of this, it seems like, and I don't know if this would ever be enough for you to make a living or something like that, but Jagex's best interest in terms of content creation would be to then pay the content creators, which you actually see in a lot of other games. I think Elder Scrolls Online does this.
Sky Bolivian's coming. Did you see that?
Sky content creator program? Yeah, I did. That's
cool.
Gonna be insane.
My bad, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, you should start a program where your creators, maybe they get a referral code, so if somebody buys membership through them, they get some kickback from that or something, because that's what tons of other games do. So it's up to, I think, Jagex to invest in their RuneScape 3 creators, because these guys are making videos for a game that's not doing so hot in the bigger picture of things, and a game that's constantly getting compared to old school RuneScape. Like, old school RuneScape is probably in the top 3 right now of most popular MMOs.
Yeah.
And so when you're constantly getting compared, when there's 150,000 people online playing the other version of the game, it just makes it a very tough place to exist, because these old school RuneScape players have numbers, and they're going to look at RuneScape 3 and think, well, that's a shit game. And they might comment, they might say something, they might come in your stream. That's definitely always going to happen. Now, I do have a bit of a problem with that, though. Because Jagex has kind of shown their hand in terms of forcing an echo chamber and how they get their feedback. If they start paying creators, that's just going to exacerbate that problem. And then creators are going to feel, oh, well, I'm getting kickback. I have to say nice things about Jagex all the time, so I stay in the creator program. There was just a video on the Elder Scrolls Online, ZeniMax Studios, their creator program. A creator just came out, and he got like 100,000 views talking about how that exact issue is happening with ESO. So
I didn't even think about that. Wow. No, that is the truth. Like, damn, that's big brain, dude. You thought ahead on that one. Because it does.
You don't even need to think ahead. I've just looked at other companies that have done that, and that's happened, right? And obviously that would happen because Jagex cannot handle criticism very well.
It kind of turns. It kind of turns like the creator into somewhat of a lobbyist. Like they kind of just.
Yeah.
I hate that, but corporate game. It would be good to do like maybe things like referral codes. One thing though that they don't do anymore is like the when they release an update or just the week post, they put creators in it, artists and
the spotlight.
Dude, half the time they don't even include videos anymore. And I'm not trying to be rude. Again, I'm not trying to
do anything. I used to get put in those. Yeah, like it wouldn't do anything.
Right, but I remember the first time I got on it. It feels good. Well, I guess what I'm getting at,
it's really good for
appreciation.
Morale.
Yes, exactly, bro. And morale is so important. Like that's the whole. Why do you think there was a guy that would go into battle back in the day that was going to get stabbed with a drum?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it means
important.
Yeah, it is, and it's like that makes creators feel appreciated. And you're right, dude. My first video that got put on there was just like a little cringe iron video. Got like 200 views. It didn't help at all. Yeah. But it was more they put me on there. And that's what I'm getting at. Because I find new creators all the time where I just want to go and support them. I'll sub like their video. And
have you seen that guy on Reddit who goes and categorizes, like he finds
M with the Z.
RS3
Shout out to M with the Z. He deserves a Golden Gnome for Gamer of the Year. Or like
figuring out that list. That's insane.
Yeah, dude.
That guy puts in a ton of work to make that happen.
And he's like, I don't want to tell his job or nothing, but he like works at a very like white collar job, very smart guy, spends a lot of time. Kagalar, we're talking about M with the Z. Shout out to, he'll watch this. He's gonna watch this when it goes.
He's a Reddit user who compiles basically every piece of RuneScape 3 content that gets released in a month, even people who don't get like very many views, and he puts it all together in this giant post. And it's a really good way to find creators that you might have never found before.
Yeah, he does video of the day too on Twitter. He's on Twitter, M with the Z. I think he's on Blue Sky as well. Has a Discord. He made a whole Discord for creators to use too, like to help thumbnail. Yeah, dude, bro loves the game. And he you start talking to him about MTX, he says the same thing. He's like, it's a blight. He's like, people don't want to watch stuff, don't want to be involved, don't want to, because of the topic, not even the practice, the ick associated with it. One of the questions I wrote down though, what do you think could fix it? And I also wanted to ask, what do you think about a complete server wipe and new world? Honestly, like have the current one be like, you could, or I guess you could say RuneScape, a competitive RuneScape or a competitive server where there's no bonus XP, treasure hunter, premier, none of that. You get all auras unlocked and go.
You answered the first question with the second one. That's my idea. Well, it's not necessarily just a server though. I think that's the most immediate fix. I think it would be in Jagex's best interest to honestly make a RuneScape 4 at some point or look into it. I've always been an advocate of that. A RuneScape 4 that does restart your character. It'll never happen as long as they're owned by these investment companies, obviously, but that would be the most hype thing ever. We're making RuneScape 4. There's no pay to win, and it's the better version of both games. That would be Jagex's legacy, in my opinion. But in terms of fixing MTX, it's kind of like Pandora's box. Once you start selling experience, everybody's accomplishments go down the drain. They don't matter as much anymore. Once you start selling gold, even old school RuneScape is a victim of this. But yeah, the only way to clean that up would be a server where MTX is completely not enabled and you have to start as a new character. That's the only way.
I think too with that, bro, is like you can actually still keep Treasure Hunter, but it would be in the current canon of the game is what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? And then like do fresh, maybe even hardcore if you wanted a gimmick, because isn't that what hardcore WoW is? Yeah. Isn't it a fresh server and you're hardcore, but can you trade with other players?
You can. You can do what's called solo self-found, which is a version of hardcore that's more like Iron Man. Mm-hmm. But normal hardcore can trade with other players. Yeah.
Okay. So
but trading's a little different in World of Warcraft. It's not as you get most of your drops through actually like going and doing dungeons and stuff. Mm-hmm. You can't buy most of the best items in the game, whereas in RuneScape you can usually. So
okay, that makes sense. But it's like if they did that and then added a high score and maybe dropped boss high scores, I mean, you could really have like not only I feel like it would help Twitch. You know, I feel like it would help YouTube, all these other things.
It would help Twitch, it would help YouTube. They would get so many lapsed players coming back to try that game mode, because tons of people that quit RuneScape still want RuneScape. They still want to play it. But then they come back and it's the same MTX again, the same Treasure Hunter. They had a server that didn't have that. So many lapsed players would come back and they would stay. So yeah, totally.
They wouldn't keep getting featured in React content where they're just getting destroyed by millions of people. It's kind of insane.
With an Asmongold thumbnail like this.
Yes.
And, yeah.
I need to start doing those. They do sell. I remember being toxic as shit when I first came on the scene, and there was this there was this dude who would do videos on cryptids that I like, because obviously, you know, just like, I don't know, random shit. But he started doing like really like wacky thumbnails where he just looked ridiculous in them. But then the videos started getting like hundreds of thousands of views, so they got progressively worse. And I remember just being like, "You sold out, bro!" But it's like it's so toxic.
Funny we're talking about this, because I literally put out a video today, and it's the first time I put my face in a thumbnail for like 4 or 5 months. So.
The 2D MMOs, right? I think I got a notification. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check that out later.
It's a long one. I basically tried I think it was like 36 or 37 different 2D MMOs. So
I think it's actually impressive to go and do that, because like I'll sit and be like, yeah, today I'm gonna try this other game, and then I'm like, well, fuck, my group iron wants this, or I just got in an argument over this and I need to go get X, and I actually admire that. So like what are the goals for the channel? What do you got going forward?
Well, one thing is since
Final Fantasy 14.
One thing that was super cool with RuneScape is the ability to create an active community. So when I was playing RuneScape and making RuneScape videos, I had a Discord with 1,600 people, despite only having like 15,000 subscribers, right? Mm-hmm. That was like impressive. When like I'd go live on Twitch and there'd be like 100 people watching me sometimes. But now that I make general kind of variety content, I tried to make another Discord server. We barely hit 400 people. And I have coming up on 70,000 subs now. So almost like 5 times the amount of subs. No, not even 4 or 5 times. But so one thing that was really cool about RuneScape is you could just create this huge group of people. So one thing I want to do with my channel is get back to that, kind of create a community again. I feel like I've been struggling with that. And streaming helps too. I need to start streaming again.
Because then you can kind of hang with everybody. Like a video's good and they get to know you, but things like this are great just because we get to shit chat, you know, talk with the chat about stuff. And it does do community building. But you said something that is interesting. RuneScape is unique and it does have good like things about it, and I think that is why a lot of this like negative press does exist. It's like having a parent or a grandparent in the nursing home and their caregivers are shitting on, like, not taking care of them. You know, you ever seen Happy Gilmore?
Oh yeah.
It's
like top 10 movies
bro. Dude. All right, that's what I'm talking about. But like when he takes his grandma to the nursing home and he's like, "I'm gonna buy your house back, grandma," and she's got Ben Stiller as her caregiver. That's how I feel. Like, and it's just like, you know.
So wait, the caregivers are the developers?
Yes, because RuneScape is itself.
Right.
Every developer could be fired and RuneScape would be RuneScape. I don't want that. I'm not advocating that. My God, they're going to act like I did. Yeah, they're going to. It's fine. Whatever. I literally had a JMod post screenshots of me in game the other day. It was super weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's one of those things that like it feels like the people caring for it. Not all of them actually. There's about 3 who I love you and you know who you are because I've talked to you off the record. But it's like I really don't think some people care at all. And I get it, dude. We've all worked day jobs, but that's also kind of the part of it. Like when you go in, and you're, especially if you're in customer service and other things, bro, like you got to play, you got to make your money, you got to make your bread that day.
Yep.
That's your job. Yep. If you're a server, you know, or a manager, and I go talk to, you know, an upset guest, if I get personal with them, I'm in the wrong. They're my customer. Like,
yeah.
But no, dude, I wanted to ask too, what's been your favorite MMO lately? I know we got WoW on there, and that's on my list.
Such a tough question, which I get asked all the time. To be completely honest, I think I went so hard on my RuneScape series. This is going to be like sacrilege for me to say about my YouTube channel. But MMOs probably, if I'm being completely honest, are not hitting the same way they used to. Now that I kind of play them more as a reviewer and I treat them more like a job. Probably the one that took me out of that feeling the most, at least recently, was Guild Wars 2. Because Guild Wars 2 has what's called a horizontal progression system. So, like, basically content that was relevant like 12 years ago when it was released is still relevant today. And so you don't feel rushed. You don't feel like you need to play all the time. It's like the perfect dad MMO. Because you don't need to be on time for raid every day, or you don't need to try and catch up to everyone else. You just kind of like play when you want to and do what you want to.
Rayo spoke highly of that. Yeah, he unfortunately just made a video where he's going to be.
I watched.
Made me sad, man. Rayo has been one of my favorites. I loved his Legalock series. He recently started doing
Rayo's
like a rebuild.
So obviously there's people like me, and if you know me on Twitter or anything, you know I'm pretty out there with my opinions and stuff, and I'm usually in some sort of drama or something. I'm hot-headed and I wear my heart on my sleeve, but Rayo's like the most calm, cool, and collected guy in the entire RuneScape space. He's just trying to do his thing, and he's super nice, and he thinks before he speaks, like, well. So, yeah, shout out to Rayo. I never chatted with him too much, but I always liked him.
You know, he was one of the people, I do like a Dungeon Man series. It's kind of on a hiatus for Group Iron. And then especially now with everything going on. But it's kind of like him and another creator were the ones who kind of like, well, I want to try Restricted Iron Man on RS3, because like you were talking about, you know, doing your research. Settled obviously is one of the people that we all draw like an inspiration from, because he was the big Iron Man series. And I meant to ask too, like, you know, we were talking about necromancy, and I didn't want to glaze over it before we wrap up. Like, necromancy, what was your big issue with it, and why did you not like it?
So because RuneScape 3 has so much like microtransactions and pay to win stuff like that, which I'm just wholeheartedly, if there's a way to avoid it, I'm gonna avoid it. And so my way to avoid all of that was by playing Iron Man. And in my personal opinion, part of the reason why Iron Man was so fun is it's the same reason in old school, that you have to chase the items, and you need to get this item before you can get this item, and you need to be this powerful before you can kill this boss. And there was a ladder that was diverse and huge. Like, I'd go over here this day and spend 50 hours over here, and then over here, and then over here. And necromancy took that feeling of like all this stuff I need to do and just turned it into like a ladder that goes straight up.
Yeah.
And there's one way up. And within, I think, 2 weeks of necromancy coming out, I had killed all these bosses that I didn't have the knowledge to do prior or the gear. And it just made the game kind of obsolete for me. Like, it was kind of boring. Now, I still didn't complete all my goals and do everything I wanted to do, but it took that sense of wonder, that grandiose, I need to do all of this, and just got rid of it, you know?
No, absolutely. I've had a couple conversations on it, because like before then, you know, I was using magic and animate dead and kind of cheesing bosses and tank gear, things like that, and learning.
I mean, that's what I was doing too, but you still had to learn how to do that, and it wasn't a complete cakewalk. It wasn't as much of a cakewalk as Necro's been, I think.
Well, and then now you can have that tank armor with necromancy and take the same amount or virtually no damage in comparison and still output as much as using full DPS magic. I mean, with the new weapons, there's been T95 weapons added, but they weren't in the game
I've
at the
heard
time.
they've tried to do some things to kind of fix this issue, but and I went to like test necromancy, right? And so people are like, "Oh, well, you went to test it," but the thing is, like, I've never been a super end game RuneScape player. I've always been more casual, and when I went to test the skill, we like got to like level we got to level for a bit, and then you got to give yourself 99. You got to like try that out for a bit, but I didn't know enough to realize that it was overpowered. Plus, we weren't actually seeing the finished product. We didn't have the final numbers yet.
They still
But
had
to
to
me, it
tune it
just
down.
felt cool. It felt like a cool new skill. But once it actually got in the game and I played it for 2 weeks, I was like, dude, come on. Everything's going to be necromancy now.
Well, in the
To
progression,
the point, sorry, I just want to make this one
please
last
go
point.
ahead.
Me, Crossfire, and Jimmy, and another guy started a group Iron Man, unofficial one, before it even was released. And we banned necromancy because it ruined the game so much that there was like no point to it. So we literally just didn't use necromancy.
I hate that I was on the jock, and I think it can be good. Obviously, it is good. It's the best style, but you're absolutely right, because now with Group Iron Man coming out, like originally I was kind of staying away from it for a little bit, went more like a magic route, and all my teammates were just going straight necromancy. And by the time I got tier 65 power gear for magic, which is like superior skeletal, they were already in tier 80 necromancy, and like smoking shit, you know, and like it, you know, so I switched.
Well, and not to mention that even if you had tier 80 magic armor, it's still not doing as much damage as necromancy or as easily.
And no sustain from the ghost, because the ghost heals you. And no, you're absolutely right. You know, and I know you can use like greater bone shield with other things, but no, it's just so powerful, and it's got set effects like you can't go get a set effect from your tier 70 God Wars or God Wars 2 armor, and that kind of, I don't know, that sucks. And then bosses like Raksha that drop nothing necromancy adjacent.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do it, and that's one of my favorite bosses, you know. Karapak's one of my favorite bosses, and you can do it for the scripture and bones, but people aren't doing hard mode for a staff. They don't need it.
And that's what sucks, man, because RuneScape 3 really does have some amazing boss fights. Like, I agree about Karapak. Karapak was one of my favorite bosses. I never even soloed it in hard mode, so I'm not like a crazy. But like the whole idea of the time skip and stuff like that's super cool. But most people don't even get to see that, right? Because you need to make it through the first however many hundreds of hours of gameplay to get to that point. So.
Well, and you know, story wise too, Karapak's so cool.
Yeah,
and it just the fight is cool. The voice lines are cool, and I feel like we've drifted away from cool. And somebody mentioned Final Fantasy 14 in here. What's up, Foldy? Somebody mentioned Final Fantasy 14, and like, you know, games like that I get told all the time have great lore and they're super fun, and I don't want to drift away from RuneScape. I don't, but my perspective has shifted very dramatically, and everything you've said I agree with and get where you're coming from. You know, and I still have this little hope in the back of my head, more for the community. You know, we talked about how great the community is. That's literally all of it. Otherwise, I would have just been a drifter making a couple videos. If it wasn't for the community, I would have never spoke up for them. I would have never been in these arguments, because I'm just one dude. Like, you know, it's the community that lifts us up and puts us in a position. And, you know, if it's controversial and you feel like it's something that really does need to be fought for, you know, it's commendable to do that, even in spite of people not liking you over it, man. And I hate
100%. And one thing I want to add to that is you actually did the even more difficult thing, is you switched your opinion and then started fighting for the other side, which means you had to admit that you were wrong in some cases, dude. Which is like admitting you're wrong on the internet. That takes balls. So shout out to you for that.
people will always be like, well, you know, you thought this. Yeah, I did, buddy. I did. That should make you kind of take what I'm saying a little more serious, because it's gotten to the point to where it isn't. It is something that I cannot stand, and it makes me sad. And the game I love, I see it just slipping away. I see, you know, developers not wanting to talk to people. I see the same Mod Pips doing the same shit he did in 2011, 2012, 2013. The dude got 2 promotions in the year that both Squeal of Fortune and EOC released. And for people hanging out, I am going to do a full video on this. It should be even done like maybe tonight. But in the same year, he released Squeal of Fortune and EOC. And in 2013, he did a RuneFest where on video, public video, he says, he's basically like, yeah, we overtuned Squeal of Fortune and we need to step it back a little bit. We know people are upset. Right. And that was in 2013, 11 years ago. Like, I mean, come on. Like, and I know people have kind of gone into but there's going to be a worse CEO. And I just can't live like that. I can't live. Well, go ahead.
I think that a lot of the old school people are saying that. And I think they have a valid reason to say that, because Pips or whatever his name is, Phil. He's done a lot of work to defend and keep old school the same. But if you mostly play RuneScape 3, this guy has put your game through the ringer, bro. Like, absolutely. I guarantee you, I don't know this for sure, but this is my assumption. He views RuneScape 3 as a cash cow that they're trying to take every last penny from before it dies. And old school RuneScape is their premier product.
Yep.
Which obviously, I mean, it's on paper too, that's what it looks like. But so I understand the people in old school being like, well, don't get a new CEO. They're going to fuck up old school. And I agree, they probably will. But if you only play RuneScape 3, you have no incentive or reason to say that. And a new CEO might actually help RuneScape 3. I don't know.
I think that if it gets to the point where they realize that more people will play and they'll make more money overall by putting out a good product. And that's why I actually am pretty thankful that people like, Charlie, and even though he's, dogmatic and people hate him, even though Asmongold reviewed it, like they put it out in front of millions of people and, defended the fact that, we're kind of getting shit on here. And you're absolutely right. In RuneScape 3, but that's why, like, in the video, I'm like, there's no one qualified more to continue to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You might get a new CEO who's going to be a little gun shy for 2 years on trying it. But
that's true.
This guy just did it.
Yeah. And also, that was how many years ago? 13 years ago?
Yeah.
So he has no issue being like, okay, yeah, let's run it. Like,
yeah. I
Hero
mean,
Pass, 100%.
Yes. And it's like, that's
a
the
survey
thing.
that we're going to take videos of. We're going to have it be our most highly produced survey of all time. That is so tone deaf that literally a 16 million subscriber YouTuber is going to make a video about it.
Yep.
Send it.
And that's kind of like where I want to go with it. Because if we take one slice of the pie, I even covered Proteans a little bit. They had all this pushback on it. And then they added red Proteans, which are Protean light. Yeah, they're not quite as bad. Yeah. And I don't know. Somebody mentioned earlier World 84 skilling. Time for RS to pay their fair share. Oh, goodness. Yeah. I just hope we get to a point where neither of us, because... Yeah, I don't know. If they do it to OS, it definitely will die. But even then, just off that survey, I've seen that Bodhi and Foe are playing Valheim.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean,
which is hilarious because I downloaded Valheim today. Such a good game.
Is it?
I'm having so much. Oh, dude, I'm having so much fun.
Okay.
Just like a survival, kind of building game, but
isn't
I
it
haven't even gotten too in depth yet, but it's a lot of fun.
Like a Viking themed game.
Yeah, it's Viking themed. Okay. So yeah. But I've killed some boars and I started making my house and you have to make tools and all kinds of stuff, but it's fun.
KJ said I tricked you into coming on. No, we've been planning this for quite a while. It just it worked out good tonight. I'm really thankful. In closing, do you have any sentiment that you would like to express toward RuneScape, or do you have a hope that it's going to continue? I guess what's your take on the next couple years?
I guess a sentiment. So the RuneScape community in general, at least the online presence, hasn't had the best relationship with me recently. I think there's a lot of my old viewers that still think I'm great and love watching my videos and they want me to come back, but the general RuneScape community doesn't really like me. That's just the fact of the matter. So. But putting aside that sort of internet drama or whatever you might want to call it, I do want RuneScape to be the best version of itself. I've never played another game more in my life than RuneScape, both old school and RuneScape 3. We're talking over 10,000 hours, way more, probably 15,000 hours played. And that's just in my recent memory adult life. So, yeah, of course, I always want to see RuneScape do better in every way, shape, and form.
I buy that and I believe you, because otherwise you wouldn't even be here talking today. You'd be like, this fucking dude plays RuneScape. I'm going to go cover, you know what I'm saying? So it's people, and again, I have to take my fair share of fostering. I've never fostered an echo chamber, but just defending them when they don't need to be defended. It's not a make or break. It doesn't mean just because right now I'm upset because of X that I don't like all the stuff I said I liked for years. Obviously, we've put a lot of time into it and everything, man. KJ, you'll have to catch a VOD. Yeah, I'm gonna hook up a little pod episode. We can We can upload it later.
Yeah, if you want me to make a thumbnail, let me know.
I actually might. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
let's do that because I want the professional like Waydots thumbnail going out there.
Yeah.
No. Anyway.
Yeah, let me go fire up my AI.
My thumbnails are legitimately just like approximations from your advice. Like dude, that remove background tool has been the greatest.
Lifesaver.
It is.
Also,
my God.
by the way, though, I don't know if you've ever used that tool and you've ran into an issue where you try and put an outline around it, and then it'll have spots.
I don't think I've.
So
No.
the remove background tool I sent you, just in case you ever run into that issue, they tried to make it so you can't use it with other tools. So there's another one now. If you just go to look up Adobe remove background AI, it's even better, and it's like official. It's through Adobe. So.
Okay. Yeah, like before, dude, my shit was trash. At least now it's like trash, but kind of looks professional. Doesn't really do any better. Yeah. But all right, brother. Well, I appreciate you. I'm gonna rate up.